Have your Amazon purchase orders decreased recently for your vendor account? So in this video, I'll be going over how Amazon's ordering system works and what you should do if your Amazon purchase orders have recently decreased. For those of you who are new here, my name is Benjamin Bolshinsky. I used to work at Amazon in the vendor management team for almost 3 years, and now I run a company called Vendor Launch, where we provide consulting services for Amazon vendors. So without further ado, the first thing you have to understand is how Amazon's ordering system actually works. And it's an entirely automated system. It's based on customer demand. So customer demand is the most important thing that drives the purchase orders that you get. It's what's called a just-in-time ordering system, meaning Amazon will order stock purely based on how much it needs to fulfill customer demand. This can be a bit different from some of the other retailers you might be supplying for, which might hold more stock. Amazon, for this reason, holds typically a bit less stock. I would say on average like 3-4 weeks of cover. It's an automated ordering system. So every time you get POs from Amazon on a weekly basis, it's entirely automated. Manual interventions are really rare. If you do want if you want manual interventions, these have to be done by a vendor manager. They do have the option to manually raise POs, but again, usually it's quite a data heavy and a very complicated approvals process. The vendor manager needs to provide a specific case with data to show why they should bypass the automatic ordering system and manually order products. So again, it's quite rare, and it's usually a kind of a complicated process to get manual POs across the line. So for all intents and purposes, it's an automated ordering system. So you might be asking, well, what are the actual drivers behind the POs? Like, on what data basis are these quantities determined? And so I've provided a list over here. These are what I would consider the main drivers. So the first is customer sales demand. So this is, again, a customer sales forecast. If you look at Vendor Central, you'll find a forecast there. Again, this is forecasting customer demand. So how much sales are customers wanting, how many products are customers wanting to buy, and that obviously then feeds into how much Amazon will order from its vendors. Other factors include profitability. So what's the net PPM of a product? Obviously, the more profitable a product is, the more they want to buy it, the more stock they will hold, the less it will be out of stock. Typically, as a marketplace matures in Amazon, so the longer the marketplace exists, the more Amazon will focus on profitability. So if they're launching a new marketplace, then they typically don't focus on net PPM as much. Australia, for example, or Ireland, South Africa, I believe, these are all relatively new markets, and so the focus on net PPM is not as significant as, say, the US or the UK, where it's more of an important factor. Ordering constraints: the higher the MOQ, the less likely Amazon will raise the PO. Again, it reduces the probability of unhealthy or excess inventory, which they then have to mark down. So the more ordering constraints, typically it's an MOQ, the less likely Amazon will order the product, especially if it's a new product, where this can be a big issue. Whether there are other vendors supplying the product, for example, if there are other distributors or other resellers that are set up as a vendor account, Amazon's ordering system, again, usually has multiple offers that they can purchase a given ASIN, a given product from. If there are other vendors with a cheaper cost price, the system will automatically order from them. So that's one of the kind of important factors. And this is something you can actually check. You can have a look at customer sales in Vendor Central, particularly under the manufacturing view in Retail Analytics. You can compare that customer sales for, say, the past month versus the POs. And so if you see that there is a customer sales data, if Amazon are ordering, say, selling $10,000 to customers in the Retail Analytics, and you're not getting any purchase orders, then you can be pretty certain that those POs are going to another vendor. So that's something important to consider. Product packaging dimensions, heavy products, again, this kind of feeds into net PPM, but also if a product is heavy, bulky, in excess of, I believe, 1.2 meters in length, and there are certain warehouses that may not necessarily be able to inbound it, so that can affect whether they can even raise the PO to begin with for those products. Contribution profit, again, so this is also looking at profitability. And CIV, so CIV, I believe from memory, stands for customer in-stock value. So this is kind of a metric that Amazon uses, which looks at what is the value of having that product in stock, insofar as like customer downstream impact of the customers are concerned. So, if it's a product which is like strategically important to have, maybe something like Prime in the heyday when there was mass customer demand and it was very trendy, a product like that, socially exploding, socially trendy, might have a high CIV downstream impact. So Amazon system might determine that if having that product in stock may lead to future orders, may lead to repeat orders in the future, then they're more likely to order that product. So really this is kind of like more of a strategic lens as to whether it makes sense for Amazon to, I guess the value of having that product in stock for Amazon. But again, having considered all these factors, the most important, without a doubt, not even close, is customer demand, which is why it's in bold here. If there is a lot of customer demand for a product, Amazon will find a way to order it, even if it's super unprofitable, even if it's like, even if there's a high MOQ, the higher the customer demand, the more likely Amazon will order the product. Again, it's a customer-centric company. What the customer wants is kind of the main driver of how Amazon as a business has functioned. They look at the customer and they work backwards. So, if you generate enough customer demand for your product, you'll get POs. Again, unless there's some technical issue, which I'll go through in this slide. So yeah, the next question is, well, what can you do? If you're not getting any POs, if your purchase orders have decreased, if you expect more purchase orders, if you want to increase your POs, what can you do? So the first thing is to increase sales demand, right? If you get more customers buying your products, Amazon will order more products to satisfy that customer demand. It's pretty self-explanatory. How do you increase sales demand? You run advertising promotions, and you're strategic in how you run these advertising and promotions. You get your products to appear in front of more customers across more keywords at a more cost-effective way. Run promotions to increase conversions. You get customers buying your products and not your competitors. You increase the amount of times that customers will reorder your products. Increase LTV, lifetime value of each customer. Each of these things ultimately feeds into more customer demand for your products, which translates into higher purchase orders. You should review your distribution, review your costs, pricing. So yeah, tighten your distribution. Again, if your distribution's a mess, if you're supplying to a bunch of retailers, resellers, distributors, you have no idea who's got your products, who hasn't, more likely than not, someone's probably selling your products to Amazon as well. You're going to have a lot of leakage in POs going to other resellers, other vendors. So the tighter and more controlled your distribution is, then the easier this is to manage and the more likely you are to get these POs. Review your pricing, your buy price, if it's too high, if it's unprofitable for Amazon. If Amazon can buy the products from other vendors, again, you're going to have potentially less POs. So I would review your pricing with Amazon. Subscribe and save. So if you're a consumable brand, consumable products, and you don't have subscribe and save, I would strongly suggest doing this. Again, it increases LTV, increases the value of a product being in stock for Amazon. Amazon treats its subscribe and save customers very highly, importantly. They don't want to miss any subscribe and save deliveries because that undermines customer trust. And so if you have a product on subscribe and save, Amazon will prioritize that product. They will prioritize it during inbounding, and you will get more purchase orders for sure. Reduce MOQs. Again, the higher the MOQ, the less likely Amazon will order the product, or the less frequently they'll order the product. Make it easier, essentially, for Amazon to order the product. So reduce the MOQs. Particularly important, this is for new products because they don't have that same customer demand as some of your existing range might. Now, this one is a very important one, which a lot of vendors that we work with actually overlook this. Check availability in Vendor Central. You look up the ASIN and you have a look at, is the product marked as available or unavailable? Because oftentimes a vendor will have a product unintentionally or they've forgotten about the product and it will be unavailable in Vendor Central. That signifies to Amazon's ordering system that you can't supply the product and therefore they won't order the product from you. So either they will order from someone else or it will just be out of stock. So this is an easy one. If your product is in stock, just check the ASIN in Vendor Central catalog and just make sure it's marked as available and not permanently unavailable or it's not temporarily unavailable. And then sometimes we find that if vendors reject multiple POs in a row, 3 or 4 purchase orders in a row for a particular product, that can signify to Amazon's ordering system that the product is unavailable and therefore they will stop receiving purchase orders for that product. So again, this is an exercise we always do for our clients, every 2 months, every month, depending on the size of the range, and just making sure that the products are marked as available in Vendor Central. Very easy fix, often overlooked, and has a big impact on the POs that you get. The last one also relates to kind of operations. You want to check your confirmation rate. So one of the exercises that we do for clients is we check over the past month or the past year how many POs Amazon has sent to you, requested cost or quantity, and then how much you've actually accepted. So right now, if I go to this Excel here, basically what I would suggest doing is go to Vendor Central, go to Manage, go to Orders, Manage Purchase Orders, click on All Purchase Orders, and then export all the purchase orders historically that you've received at Amazon. It will then come up with this Excel file here, where each row is a separate purchase order, and this will go back to whoever for historically all the purchase orders that Amazon has sent. You then want to go to column O, which is the total requested cost, and then column P. These are the most important ones. Go to the bottom and then just do a sum formula. So just sum the total requested cost. So again, this is like in total how much Amazon has ordered from you, dollar value. In this case, we've summarized it 2.3 million, 2.4 million as an example. And then column P looks at the total accepted cost. So this is how much you've actually accepted in the POs. You do the same thing, you sum it up, and you come up with these two values here. And then what you want to do is you divide accepted by requested. And it will give you this percentage here, click on percent. So this is perhaps the most important metric in all of Amazon Vendor Central. If I would put like the success of a vendor account is entirely correlated to this metric. So what this is telling me is 44% of Amazon's orders, this supplier has actually accepted, right? 44%, not a lot. So this will tell you like what percentage of Amazon's demand you're actually fulfilling with your POs. And so I would strongly suggest you set a target for this, right? If you have an agency, set it with the agency. If you're doing it internally, set it internally. You need a target for your confirmation rate, which is what this metric is. And I would suggest you aim for 95%. It should ideally, it should be higher than 95%. Now, obviously, every supplier will have out of stocks, so you should factor that in. But again, like 95% is a target. Minimum, like worst case scenario, it should be 90%, right? Anything under that, and you're leaving a lot of money on the table. So I would do this exercise, check your confirmation rate, and then set a target of 95%. And then this will probably be the most important and significant thing that you can do to grow your Amazon vendor account. This exercise alone. So hopefully that helps. If you have any questions, or if you want, us to do this for you, to benchmark this confirmation rate, to have a look at it, improve it, you can book a call in the description using the link in the description. Otherwise, if you have any questions, leave them as a comment. But hope you have a great day and talk tomorrow. Bye.